Welcome to the March 11th, 2019 regular council meeting. We acknowledge that the land of which we gather is Treaty 2, the Anishinaabe Ojibwe Nations, known as First Nations territory, as well as the homeland of the Métis Nation. Moved by Councillor Juba, seconded by Deputy Mayor Bellemare. Be it resolved that council accepts the regular agenda as presented. I'll call the question. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Stakilo, seconded by Deputy Mayor Bellemare. Be it resolved that the reading be waived and council accepts and approves as circulated the minutes of the following meeting. The regular council meeting minutes of February 25th, 2019. Any errors or omissions? Call the questions. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Loughlin, seconded by Councillor Juba. Be it resolved that council now adjourns to meet the appeal hearing as scheduled. All in favor? Motion carried. The appeal hearing that we're going to hear is to hear notice of objection appeal to the city order to demolish the dwelling at 621 Main Street South under Property Standards Bylaw 10, 2017. Council is present to hear notice of objection appeal received as a result of the sending an order to comply to the property owner listed below. That's in the appeal, Mr. Clifford Small. Are you Mr. Clifford Small? Are you?
Hearing is not the best. Good afternoon.
Oh, okay, I'll speak loudly.
Okay. My trouble started, I guess, in 2006. I guess we had the program where we were checking water meters. So anyway, coming back from the dairy dip that night with my two neighbors, there's a piece of paper, and I pulled it out of it. There's no door locks. It's all hasps and padlocks. Anyway, I pulled out the paper and it said it's your third warning for checking the water meter. So anyway, I phoned in the morning. It was Kim Sofronitz. I said, Kim, the water in that house is shut off at least 10 years. She said, just give me a minute. And she called me back and she said, yeah, you're right, it shut off 15 years. So that should have been the end of the problem, my problem. I walked out, I was taking my dog for a walk, and at the back gate was Ron Plazook. I didn't know him at that time. He said, can I check the meter? I said, now? He said, yeah, that's okay. I said, okay. I put the dog back, got the keys. As soon as I opened the back door, I could hear the water running. I said, when did you turn this on? He said, just now. I looked, there was no tools laying there. So we went in the house and in the basement. The water's running all the taps. The black on the walls, the mold is up about 2 feet. So he said, I'll go out and you listen. He says, tell me if it shuts off. So he went back outside. He did shut it off. So then he left. So I locked up again and I went up to the town office here and I got Alec Paul. And I told him the story and Alec said, if we're responsible for it, we'll look after it. So that sat for a couple of weeks and then we had a meeting in the basement with Kevin Cormanicki, another Donald Trump, and Lyle Stockatelli and Rod Plazook and a couple of the other boys. Anyway, they looked at everything there and Rod said, well, when I came, the water was running, which is true because it had been on. So we're outside and Kevin Cormanicki said to me, I said, well, who turned the water on? He said, you did. I said, that's why I relined the basement, do hydro, water, everything. I spent all that money so I could flood the basement. I didn't say much more too, because So we went from there, I went back to Alec Paul, and Alex said, well, I give all the paperwork, Cliff, he said, Kevin. So I went back to Kevin. He said, well, all the paperwork, Cliff, he said, so much scribbling on it. He says, I gave it, threw it in the garbage. Well, so on the one letter that Ron Plazook wrote, he said that Brad Bomack was there with him. Well, I'd had a couple of beer with Brad. I knew Brad pretty good. And he wouldn't have made that mistake. Clockwise, counterclockwise, he knew the difference. So I ran into Brad at Sandy's. And I told him the story, and Brad said, Cliff, don't get me involved. I said, well, I didn't get you involved. I said, Ron's got you involved. He's got your name on the sheet saying that you were there. He just walked away, he never answered me. I knew he wasn't there. So after that, we got the hail damage. So when the adjusters come, they said, the house is vacant. I said, yeah. They said, can we look it over? I said, yeah. They went in the basement, they said, what happened? So I told them the story. Well, they said, your house should be demolished. He said, it's up to the city. I says, I agree with you. He's like, sure, he said, the insurance won't put any more money into the house that's going to be demolished. I said, well, I'm in the same boat. So I've been waiting and waiting for the city to step up and demolish the house. When I seen Alec, when it first happened, I said, I'm not looking for a new house. I said, look after the demolition and fill in the old basement, as I'll go from there. But as today, that hasn't happened.
That's the house there, like on the pictures there? And is it? The house is right over there on the pictures? Is that the condition it is right now?
At that time, before it happened, it was all repaid and everything done.
What happened?
The outside was done, yeah.
Okay.
There was new wiring. I had all that done. I ripped some boards off the floor upstairs so I could feed the wiring and stuff through.
Okay,
But,
and there's a hole in the roof right now.
But, you know, it's not a $60,000-$70,000 home. You know, it's that $25,000. So to spend a bunch more money on it, it just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
So everything, all the work and all the money I spent into it, it was demolished, destroyed by the city. And one of the reasons that I redid the basement and everything, when we did Main Street and the vibratory crackers, it's a cement block basement, it cracked some of the front wall of the cement in the basement.
Okay.
So I thought, well, okay, I might have been up with cement and stuff again. I felt a little leery about it, so I just thought, well, save heat, line up the whole basement, give it a little strength, and I did. I did a good job of it too.
But how did the hole in the roof appear?
I can't hear you?
How did the hole in the roof appear? And
That was from the hail.
from the hail yet?
Yeah.
So the
You
hail
see,
was
when they wouldn't put any
2011.
more to fix the shingles, I wasn't putting any more money into it either. I mean, why, if you're gonna knock it down? It didn't make sense.
Yeah. But the condition from the hailstorm has deteriorated the house. That
So
it has to be
that's like when the adjusters went in and they said, well, the condition of the basement stuff, they said the house should be demolished. I said, yeah, I agree. But I said, it's up to the city, and that's what Alec told me. He said, if we did it, we're responsible, we'll look after it. Well, that never happened. We started dealing with Kevin Kormanicki, and
Okay,
you couldn't get a straight answer out of him.
could the councilors have any other questions of Mr. Small?
Yeah, Dave Durkatz told me at that time, if we'd have gone ahead with it, the city had insurance that would have covered it. Well, it's just when you start lying, one lie goes to a God. Yeah.
But Councilor Riel has a question for you.
Mr. Small, who was your insurance adjuster?
I can't hear you.
Who was the insurance adjuster?
They were from Wawanesa.
Okay, and do you have any correspondence, any paperwork from them? at
No,
all?
I
From your
have the
report?
insurance on the little house that's tied in with my property at the farm. And I still pay, I think it's public liability and something on the little house. But that's about it.
So you have no paperwork in regards to the claim on this?
Like there'd be no sense trying to refurbish that house, restore it. I mean, it's too far gone.
Does any other councilors have questions?
You know, like an old house like that, that's $25,000, $30,000, that, you know, you can't spend it under 15 or whatever on it trying to fix it up again.
Does,
And I know what I spent on the basement, the gyprock and the furnishing and everything, I know what went into that. And I know what went into the new wiring and the panel and the hot water tank, that's all done.
Thank you. Does city staff have any information to add?
See, when we
No.
flushed the sewer lines at that time, that was shortly after, I figured that the sewer got up in there, and that's why it had to build up enough water pressure on inside the house before it let go. And we're outside talking with Kevin Kornicki, and I told him that. And I said, our big house, we were doing it, as I stepped off the basement steps, and I stepped into about 4 inches of water. And again, it was sewer bubbling up through the house, that was a Sunday. And I phoned the city, and they told me, said, can we leave it till morning? I said, yeah, if I open up all the basement windows. So the boys came, can't think of his name now, and they had the camera. And they put the camera in, and they pulled out one of those big sweaters, hoodie, whatever you call it. But at that time, by the dairy dip, the main line was open, there was barricades around it. So I always figured whoever went by there threw it in the sewer. But Kevin Kornicki, he told me I did it. Everything was my fault, you know? I didn't have much use for him.
Anyway,
So what I'm looking for now from the city is some honesty. You go for what I told you, I'm not lying to you. That's exactly what happened. So in May, when the weather smartens up, I'll either use city equipment or I'll get Dell McDuffie, but the city pick up the tab for the demolition. And the bids I had 3, ran from 8,000 to roughly 9,500. Well, that was back then, to be higher now. Dross is out of the business, it falls out of the business east of town. So Dale McDuffie, I've talked to Dale about it.
yeah.
He said, well, you can't do anything now. He says, everything's froze. I said, I know.
Mr. Small, I'm going to ask city staff if they have any information to add.
Didn't catch what you said again.
The people behind you are Dave Derkach and the bylaw enforcement officer. I'm asking them if they have anything to add.
Well, that's my girl, the town sheriff.
Okay, let them talk, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would just like to clarify that Mr. Small did mention my name, and I did discuss with him that his damages there should have been a claim on insurance to the damage that the city had done at the time. And this was back in 2006, and I just recently had the discussion with him in December or whatever, what month it was.
Well, everything at that time come to a dead head because I was dealing with that Ron Kazook.
But
He wouldn't admit to anything, you know. He kept saying, I did it, you know.
okay,
We didn't have the equipment at that time to even do such a thing, you know.
okay.
And Al, you were deputy mayor at that time, you must have heard that story too going around.
No, I wasn't deputy mayor. I don't know, maybe I was. But we never were aware of the commitment Mayor Paul made to council. So that, to us, we're in 2019, and we can't go back to 2006. So all new councilors, we're listening to the facts right now, and we'll make a decision as to who pays for it after the close of this hearing.
I had Angie come to the house and the health inspector I got a letter from the health inspector, they suggested boarding up the walls or the windows and stuff. I said, that don't make sense. I was, all you're doing is telling the thieves that there's something in there he's hiding now, we better go in and have a look. They took my electric stove, which was no damn good, a little box of tools, but they were old stuff. There was a better stove outside, but they've been in and out of there 4 or 5 times. I don't even worry about it anymore. We nailed the door shut.
Okay, councilors have any questions? Okay,
All right,
the,
I will hear from you again.
yeah, but we won't make a decision tonight, but we'll give you a decision in writing very shortly.
Okay, that sounds good. That's all I'm asking for, some honesty and fairness.
Thank you very much. Moved by Councilor Stakilo, seconded by Councilor Yell. Be it resolved, no. Be it resolved that the appeal hearing for the order to demolish the dwelling on Lot 10, Lot 47, Plan 359 DLTO, 621 Main Street South be now concluded. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councilor Yell, seconded by Councilor Juba. Be it resolved that council now reconvenes to the regular council meeting.
Where do you want to take it?
Moved by Councilor Laughlin, seconded by Councilor Yell. Be it resolved that council accepts this
Well, the
information.
map. Yeah, go
The
ahead.
presentation by Patty Eilers, Jim Heskett, and Jeff Keeley from Intermountain
You can go that
Conservation.
way.
Just step up to the table.
Hello, I see Patty has a map here. It's good.
Okay, good. Floor is yours.
I am, okay. Okay, so I guess in the last year, we heard from the province that Intermountain Conservation District and Turtle River Watershed Conservation District out of St. Rose were gonna be amalgamating. So that wasn't really the preference of our 2 boards to do that, but we didn't have a choice, so. So we've been working with that. We've had a number of meetings with Turtle River Watershed Conservation District, and we're in the midst of the process. There's been a proposal developed, and I guess just on this big map, so here's Dauphin Lake, city of Dauphin. So our Intermountain basically covered a lot of this large area. They've actually added on a little bit to the west that we didn't have before. We didn't have this land out in Roblin and Riding Mountain West, but it actually drains to Lake Dauphin, so they're giving that to us because they want all the province to be on watershed boundaries,
Okay.
which they roughly were before, but now they're definitely going to be on it. So we're going to be out halfway to Roblin there, out to Beald. And then the old Turtle River Watershed Conservation District is down here, St. Rose and Prairie, Oka River. And we're going to be one big conservation district, probably the biggest one in Manitoba. We already were the biggest one, but now we're going to be really big. But I think there's actually one CD. There's 3 of them going together, so they might end up being a little bit bigger than us. So yeah, so all the water that drains into Lake Dauphin, but there also is some water to the north here that actually goes straight into Lake Winnebagosa. So it's not quite all of Dauphin Lake. You guys, I think maybe you've seen this book, this Dauphin Lake book. in Great Watershed Management Plan. So there is a proposal out talking about all the details, how the board will be set up. Has the councilors seen this proposal? Yeah. So it shows how the new board will be set up with the existing two boards coming together, based on sub-districts, like for example, the Vermilion River, that's gonna stay the same. Lot of the most of the sub-districts will be staying exactly as is, so. Vermilion River will have a rep from, a couple from the city.
Yes.
The RM, 2 from RM Dauphin, and 1 from Gilbert Plains. Yeah, so that's gonna be staying the same. And then, yeah, then everything's staying the same, it's just bigger. Instead of having 7 watersheds to deal with, we're gonna have another 3 from Turtle River, so we'll actually have 10 sub-districts, so 10 or 11. What do you have there?
I was just gonna say, we also
Okay.
have a name change where it was Intermountain and Turtle River Conservation District, and now they're gonna be Intermountain Watershed. And it's to reflect more of the water flow rather than being divided by municipalities. And the 2 districts will continue to operate under 2 locales with their mandates. Intermountain, formerly Intermountain Conservation, was all about conservation, where Turtle was infrastructure, and that will remain the same. And as mentioned, there'll be 2 district boards with each then meeting with the 1 main board on a quarterly basis.
Yes, yeah, Turtle River has a different mandate than we do, so which is making it a little bit complicated to try to get us all together, but.
What is the mandate there?
So their focus is mostly on bridges and provincial waterways and crossings and that, and we don't really deal with much of those at all, right? Your staff in Dauphin with MIT that deal with that here, in Dauphin and Gilbert and that. Whereas there's no provincial staff that does it, it's all done by the Conservation District.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that seems to take, most of their focus is doing with that.
Oh, okay.
We're kind of glad not to have that. Because there's a lot of water coming through Dauphin and RM Dauphin. Yeah, it's a big commitment.
The funding will remain the same, contribution, I read someplace is going to be less for City of Dauphin.
Well, the funding will still remain 3 to 1, meaning that for every $1 we contribute, there'll be, or levy, there'll be $3 provided by the provincial. But because there's more now that have joined municipalities, the monies will be distributed. It'll remain the same, but it'll be distributed between more municipalities.
And yeah, the total funding is the same, but I guess one of the other things that's happened in the last 5 or 10 years, the ag assessments have seemed to have gone up a lot more than houses now. So a lot of this is roughly based on assessment, right? So
Oh, okay.
so the rural municipalities are going to be picking up a little bit more than, so hence the city is going to come down, the city. The dollars from the city are actually coming down a bit from what they were.
Yeah, that's.
That's good news, yes.
That's good news. Any questions, Councillor Juba?
Thank you. Welcome, delegation. Nice to see you here. My question is, if you're collecting the same amount of money with a wider district, how are you going to maintain the service of the watershed?
Okay, yeah, so we're I forgot to mention, we're losing a little bit here, part of the Arm Mossy River, so we're gonna lose that. This land down here, should be picking up that assessment from Riding Mountain West. This area here, kind of the old Hillsburg, they're not actually in the CD yet. So there's no contribution coming in there until if Arnold Roblin passes a motion, to join, then they'll be in and we'll actually get some extra money from Roblin as well. So in that case, our budget would actually go up a little bit. Okay, so because the act is changing now to these, the act is changing from the Conservation District Act to the Sustainable Watersheds Act. So all the councils that were part of the program, that's we're back to zero, so that's why you guys now have the opportunity to say, we want to be in the new Sustainable Watersheds Act as part of this new program, the Watershed Districts program, or you don't want to be it. So that's why every council in the whole province is going through the same thing. You can either be in or out, and they want a resolution by end of March.
It's gonna be passed tonight.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Bellamy.
Just a question on the northern boundary. Like, I understand the idea of a watershed, and I can see what they've done here, but why did they cut it off where they did? Because that, north of that boundary line, should that not be flowing into the lake eastward as well, or is there something else going on there?
Yeah, like, I guess if, like what happens here, like this, this water actually doesn't flow into Dauphin Lake, but it's a very low assessment area, like it's a lot of Crown land. Like some of these areas are half Crown land and there's no assessments coming in from Crown land. So, in my opinion, this should probably be its own conservation district in itself, but there's not enough money to run an office just by itself. So the other thing they talked about is they were going to put this up into Swan River, but as part of the Swan River Conservation District, but it didn't fit with them either. So they thought, well, Intermountain currently had this area, and there's all sorts of relationships made up with the council and the people, and they'll just leave it in this one. Yeah, there's very little. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of money coming in from, like these councils are paying $5,000 or sort of thing. Is kind of what they're like, Mountain and Ethelbert, and yeah.
So further, this may be an unfair question, but I understand what you're saying about the two groups being put together, both of them having a different mandate. So step one is to join you, and then step two will be, like, do you see roles changing, or do you think it's just going to be sort of amalgamate, we've accomplished what we need to do onwards?
Well, like we've had the 4 or 5 meetings with Turtle River. I kind of see it being kind of staying kind of as is for a couple of years, and then probably as the new board, the new main board gets comfortable with each other, they'll probably review it. And, but right now, what they're saying is for the first couple of years, they're going to keep the office in Ethelbert open. They're going to keep the office in St. Rose open. Okay, we each have 3 staff. So at some point, probably, it's hard to say, but at some point they're probably going to review it. The board will talk about it. So Jim's on the board, but that's down the road a couple of years, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think too, what'll happen is that we're looking also staff changing roles too, where they help in conservation efforts that we have implemented already in Intermountain, and doing some in the St. Rose area as well.
Yeah, in some ways it's good because their staff has a different expertise and background than we do, and we'll be able to cross over a little bit as needed. But yes.
Yeah, now if I just may add perhaps a little to the answer to your question, Councilor Mellavert. There's the basic premise of some of these changes in terms of program activities driven by provincial visions and mandates and federal provincial relationships as well from the big picture. So on that basis, it is difficult to project how the political whims may swing in the near future. So what this short-term amalgamation is given us, though, is an opportunity to make some adjustments reflecting program mandates from the big picture scenario. premise is still that it's made up, the organizations are made up of communities, and so that we can move forward, there are community relationships, you know, that can contribute to the overall success of implementation of programs.
When is the new act start?
January 1st of 2020.
2020, okay. Councilors have any other questions? Just that, so, Councilor Ivers?
I just wanted to say that this was also an avenue for other grants and incentives that we otherwise wouldn't have access to. So again, the big picture, and if we're looking at regional cooperation, I think this is a really good avenue.
Good, yeah. Just that, you know, it'll be an evolution process there, and just like to, I know Jeff did some work on it, and that we'd like to continue on with the dam protection for Vermilion Park.
Okay.
Like, and we don't have all the money, but we can do it in stages a little bit.
Okay.
Sort of, that's what I think. That's what we can't, with all the climate change stuff and all that, we'll be constantly fixing, and that, especially the camp area, the campground area, and where the splash park is and all that. And we should get that corrected. So we'll just move forward. We'll be discussing it more with you.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, kind of my thinking is it's probably, like, we kind of did a rough
Yeah.
drawings and plans.
Yeah.
But we're not engineers, probably should get a professional engineer to look at it.
Okay, we'll
Yeah.
be talking.
Yeah.
And we will, and you still have the tree program, right?
Oh, yes, yeah. Yeah, very successful this year.
Yeah, well, my goal is to plant 100 trees every year.
Okay.
It takes 100 years to grow a tree in this
Yes.
climate, so we'll start early. And
Very good.
you have any closing comments?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. All the best, and we'll be passing a resolution tonight on that.
Okay, good to hear. Thanks for bringing it back.
Moved by Councilor Sticilo, seconded by Councilor Yell. Be it resolved that all items under item 5 consent agenda be approved as follows and form part of these minutes. Outstanding accounts receivable, $190 for 118 6th Avenue Northeast unpaid weed control, and $58.73 on 1712 Bond Street unpaid garbage collection field extra recycling bin, as recommended by the Director of Finance and the Tax Clerk. Filing items, the Association of Manitoba Municipalities, provincial responses to 2018 resolutions, 2019 June District resolutions deadline, member advisory June District elections, member advisory 2019 provincial budget, and a news bulletin of February 12th, 2019. Mulview School Division Stakeholders Meeting Report, Parks Canada Notice of Retirement, Manitoba Infrastructure Hydraulic Forecast Center 2019 Flood Outlook, and Pathways to to a better future Manitoba's poverty reduction strategy as recommended by the mayor and deputy city manager. Any questions? I'll call the question. All in favor? Motion carried. Just on the, well, I got it on my mind, the deputy city manager, the resolution is deadline for the June district meetings. I don't know when it is.
June 1st.
June 1st, so if any councilors have any resolutions to be discussed at the June meeting, we'll meet on, well, we got more time, a lot of time, but we'll meet sometimes in May to discuss them. And whichever. Oh, and the flood forecast will have our emergency coordinator, Randy Daly, speak to us probably at the next meeting, just to see where we are in Dauphin. Okay, moved by Councilor Juba, seconded by Councilor Yale. Be it resolved that council accepts as information the following corporate reports for the March 11th, 2019 regular council meeting, that of the deputy city manager, the economic development manager, and the marketing director. And I'll turn the microphone over to the deputy city manager for her report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening. The last 2 weeks have flown by as we enter our first council meeting in March. I continue to be very appreciative of all City of Dauphin staff during the last several weeks and welcome the city manager's return to City Hall as she transitions back to work this week. There have been some exciting things happening around Dauphin. March 1st was the grand opening of the Co-op Community Trail. While I was not able to personally attend the event, this is a unique facility for our community that will provide year-round adventures. The trail begins at the water treatment plant just before the north entrance to Riding Mountain National Park and is open to the public for fat biking, snowshoeing, and even skiing. Please be reminded ATVs are not permitted on the trail. I encourage everyone to check it out. We've also received a few event applications for new and annual events around the city to take place in the coming months, so make sure you watch out for those. The Audit and Finance Committee held their meeting on March 4th to discuss the results of the 2018 budget and approve recommended reserve transfers. Overall, there was satisfaction around the table based on the financial report from the Director of Finance. This is a very busy time for the Finance Department between wrapping up the previous year's budget and preparing for the 2019 budget. I appreciate the time and dedication provided in the extensive memo provided by the Director of Finance for the 2018 financial analysis. It seems mental health awareness has spiked in the last few years, and I took the mental health first aid training on March 4th and 5th of last week to improve my knowledge on what I can do to help others. Participating in this program sparks conversation on awareness and reducing stigma. This program seems to be offered more frequently in our community that I've noticed through various agencies, and I encourage everyone to participate if they can. Mental health is everywhere, not only in the workplace, and knowledge can be very powerful, as most know someone who has been impacted by mental health. It is with great excitement that we bring forward the Highway 10 Development Agreement to Council tonight for approval. Understandably, city staff and council were bound by a confidentiality agreement, which has now been lifted. Highway 10 Developments purchased a large piece of land on Main Street South near the new right side equipment location. Phase 1 for the land will see a subdivision of 3 smaller lots for which a subdivision application is also before council, with the remaining land to be subdivided in due course. These 3 lots will be developed this summer for commercial use. Now that the confidentiality agreement is lifted, our economic development manager can discuss the availability of the remaining land to incoming and existing businesses as possible locations. The city is looking forward to the continued development of Main Street South and the opportunities it will provide. I had the opportunity to participate in the Dauphin and District Chambers of Commerce Award selection. We reviewed categories of Business Person of the Year, Legacy Business, Young Entrepreneur of the Year, Community Appreciation, Individual and Community Appreciation Group. There were some tough decisions, and it was very inspiring to read the nomination forms. The Parkland area is very fortunate to have many hardworking and dedicated community members, and all are appreciated. The awards will be presented at the Chamber Celebration Night on March 13th from 7 to 9 p.m. at the Country Fest Community Cinema. Please contact the Chamber office, which is located here at City Hall, if you're interested in attending. Over the last few weeks, we have dealt with some issues regarding garbage and recycling bins. This is a reminder that in accordance with the Waste and Recycling Management Bylaw, garbage needs to be properly in bin for pickup, meaning the lid has to be closed. If waste or recycling exceeds the capacity of the bin, the contents may not be collected and a fine may be issued. Vandalism to the rolling bins will not be tolerated and may result in the bins being confiscated, and property owners will be required to purchase new bins. Lastly, I attended a Communities in Blue meeting, and discussions around this year's planting sparks optimism that the is in fact around the corner. And that concludes my report for this evening.
Any questions of the Deputy City Manager? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor of the report? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Stakilo, seconded by Deputy Mayor Bellemare, be it resolved that the finance accounts have been examined by council, be hereby authorized and approved as follows. Checks 24419 to 24491, there's 73, $290,000 and $138.67. There was no voids. Electronic payments being made for payroll. There was 4 of them for $159,388.01. And just a few highlights of the checks that went out. The bigger ones. Border Chemical for alum for the water treatment plant, $13,093.05. The Rec Services March payment, $120,927.51. Manitoba Hydro, $22,226.24, and taxpayers should be aware all the street lighting we pay for totals $14,568.07, and that's included in the $22,000. The OSS January recycling of $18,804.56. Receiver general source deductions for February, March, $37,279.19, and Train Canada HVAC controls for the work at the train station, $15,130.93. Any questions? I'll call the questions. All in favor? Motion carried. Be it resolved, moved by Councillor Yell and seconded by Councillor Juba. Be it resolved that council accepts as information the audited financial statements before FASB for the period ending December 31st, 2018, including the general fund balance sheet and general fund income statement, utility fund balance sheet and utility fund income statement summary, and the reserve report. Questions? I'll call the questions. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Juba, seconded by Councillor Lockton. Be it resolved that council accepts as information the memorandum from the Director of Finance dated March 5th, 2019 regarding the City of Dauphin's 2018 financial analysis unaudited before FASB for the period ending December 31st, 2018. And I'll go over some of the highlights of.
Can your microphone a little better?
Oh, okay. I gotta speak right into it, eh? Okay, sorry about that. We, as part of the general fund, we'll be declaring a general fund surplus of $367,457.01. And a lot of the surplus is that projects were just not completed and will be completed in 2019. The telephone system replacement, it was completed in January 2019 of $25,000. Asset management job costing postponed to late 2019 for $23,275. Additional IT support, the new plan for IT services in 2019 of $18,000. City Hall building envelope repairs postponed to $2,000. Watson Arts brick repointing delayed until 2019, $25,000. City Hall uplighting project canceled for $24,000. The Sinclair City Hall sprinkler system delayed till 2019, $11,800. The CN station control upgrades completed in February 19th, and that was the check that I just mentioned to Train Canada for $30,000, and the CN station sprinkler system delayed until 2019 of $7,150. And the revenue was greater than budget. Is the taxes added. We budgeted $235,000 for taxes added. We came in at $264,986 for $29,986, and this indicates the growth of the community. And when I came on council in 1998, we celebrated when we had one new building, and it's gone up every year since that, and that's I think a tribute to the hard work of the Economic Development Department, and there's both entrepreneurs in Dauphin and throughout the province that are looking at Dauphin and willing to invest in our community. The insurance rebates greater than budgeted by $28,910. We're in that AMM insurance policy law school, and we had less claims, so that was a surplus there. Some of the expenses to the policing contract was budgeted for 14. We came out at 13.8. Equivalent officer for 28,170. Equipment costs were under budget due to very few major repair costs of 39,829. Rec services was under budget at 58,510. Economic development incentives were under budget at 41,810. And general operating efficiencies were $16,017.01. And we went over on a few calls, on a few budget items. So that brought down the surplus. The fire department went over budget by the high number of calls during the year, 42,000. roads and streets were over budgeted due to extra paving work completed. And also, we had to pay a little more because of the less funding from the road and bridge program. And yard waste were over budgeted due to heavy volumes in September and spring and fall cleanup programs of $24,000 and $245, and that totals all that stuff is a surplus of $367, $457.01, and that those a lot of them I mentioned we've already done in 2019, so there'll be in 2019 the surplus will pay for some of the budget items that were not completed in 2018. So we've had a good year, and the continued focus on growth in our community is starting to pay off. Under the utility fund, we declare a surplus of $256,150.80 due to main projects not completed, the pressure management design project of $33,000, the water treatment SCADA updates $40,000, and the lift one commuter grinder anyway, Coop grinder of $80,000. It's in now apparently.
Brad will be
So,
disappointed it's not
yeah.
here.
And the custom work budgeted came in due to a higher volume of work of $38,000. The lagoon expenses were under budget due to lower budgeted chemical costs of $31,000. The 4th Avenue Southwest between 1st and 2nd water mains renewal and capital infrastructure was under budget. That's removed some of the lead piping, $40,000, and utility operating efficiencies of $48,150.80. Some of the water main and hydrant costs were greater than budgeted, brought down the reserve to $54,000. So we had for the utility surplus $256,150.80, and a lot of the projects again will be completed in 2019 and be paid from the utility fund surplus. So that's some of the adjustments, and proud of the staff for their due diligence in monitoring costs and weather delays, etc. caused a few delays, but both in the administration and in the operations, it's through their hard work that we're kept on track in 2018. Any questions?
Just a
Or
comment.
call the question. Oh, Deputy Mayor Belmer?
Just a comment, our, Mr. Carr has provided analysis of our reserve and a lot of our financials, and it's very helpful because otherwise it can just sort of be numbers where he puts the perspective in terms of what's happening and why. And I just wanted to say, when you're talking about the staff doing a great job, I just wanted to point out that part as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you vote on it?
Nope, we didn't do that.
All in favor? Motion carried. Next, we have moved by Councillor Riel, seconded by Councillor Loughlin. Be it resolved that Council accepts as information the 2018 Reserve Fund Balance Report and Analysis. The reserves ended at year end $8,668,166.70, and some of that will be depleted by the projects that were been carried in over from 2018 on, and also will be, some projects for 2019 will come out of that reserve. But we have a healthy reserve, and again, we are very fortunate because some communities don't have any. And there'll be a lot of intense discussions during preparation of our 2019 budget. So we'll see what comes out after that. Any questions? I'll call the questions. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Riel, seconded by Councillor Juba. Be it resolved that Council accepts as information the 2018 Councillor Compensation Report as required by the Public Sector Compensation Disclosures Act. So everybody sees how hard our councillor and mayor worked and the remuneration for it. Did you guys,
Nope.
no? So we'll, no? Okay, so we'll, forward that and all the financials to both the paper and radio station. Sorry about that. Normally we do. That's, you know, normally we wipe the sweat off our brow and all that. But any questions? All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Loughlin, seconded by Councillor Stakila. Be it resolved that Council accepts as information the following engineering department staff report from March 11, 2019, regular council meeting, that of the construction and maintenance foreman. I can't remember the numbers in there of how many. They had a very busy month, fixing thawing and fixing water main breaks.
This is probably a Mr. Brenner question, but I noticed in the report it said that the garden line sewer had been thawed twice, and I don't know if anyone asked Mr. Brenner if he explained why that happened, if this is a mechanical thing with that sewer line or a usage thing. Okay, I'll check with Mr. Brenner. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Any other questions of the report? All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Bellemare, seconded by Councillor Loughlin. Be it resolved that Council accepts as information the following Protective Services report for March 11th regular council meeting, and that of the bylaw enforcement officer for February 19th. And the councilor, or the bylaw enforcement officer, Angie, has been doing an incredible job on updating certain updating on bylaw infractions and not speeding tickets, but parking tickets. So it's just great to see that one of the biggest questions when we pass a bylaw, who's going to enforce it? Now we have a person that's doing it very well. Any questions? Councilor, or Deputy Mayor Bellemare.
Yes, starting with a comment, it seems that we have a parallel parking zone. I always thought that it was just tradition in Dauphin that we parallel practiced on that street there, but I guess there's actually a zone there. One thing that I was interested in her report was that whole thing that people should not be pushing snow out of their driveway onto the roads. And that certainly creates a lot of bumpiness on a residential street if people do that. So, I mean, I know it's spring and we're getting near the end of the season, but certainly, you know, for people in our viewing audience and people in this room, you know, if you see people doing that, just encourage them to phone our bylaw officer, and we can see that that gets stopped, because I think we take a lot of pride in having our nice clear roads during the winter season, and there is a way of making sure that they stay clear and that that unnecessary snow isn't going onto the roads. Thank you.
Excellent, and also leaves that
Yes.
in the spring, summer, fall. Some people just throw them put them onto the street, and that should not happen. So, any questions? Councillor Ives?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I've seen with her talking to people who were parking when there was a snow parking ban. I think that problem, especially down our side in the north end, I see less and less of the vehicles obstructing our cruise, and that means that we can clear our streets a lot quicker, and they look very well. There was only one vehicle I saw that they had left in the street, and definitely covered on all three sides with copious amounts of snow, so I watched this person shovel for probably half a day to get his vehicle out. So it's should be a win-win. Move your vehicle and then you've got a nice place to park.
Thank you. Any other questions? I'll call the questions. All in favor? Motion carries. Moved by Councillor Riel, seconded by, Councillor Laughlin. Sorry, Councillor Riel. Seconded by Councillor Juba. Be it resolved that council accepts as information the minutes and reports of the following committee meetings: the Intermountain Conservation District Board of January 15, 2019, Rec Services General Manager's Report of February 27th of 2019, the board minutes of January 30th, 2019, and February 27th of 2019. With Rec Services, I'll be putting it's usually just the minutes of the board meeting, but also I'll be adding in the general manager's report from now on. A lot of activity which councillors and the general public should be aware of. The Regional Public Library, the annual 2018 audited financial statements and the 2018 annual report. The Dauphin Public Library, the 2018 audited financial statements and the 2018 annual report. Committee meetings of February 19th, 2019, the director's report of February 12th, 2019, and the budget of 2019. Any questions? Call the questions. All in favor? Motion carried. Now the big one. And this is the Deputy City Manager alluded to it. And it's going to come to fruition tonight. Moved by Councillor Juba, second by Councillor Laughlin, whereas the City of Dauphin worked with Highway 10 Developments Ltd. And with legal consultation to prepare a development agreement for the commercial development of 22 acres located at Main Street South in Dauphin. Be it resolved that Council accepts as information a memorandum dated March 7, 2019 from the Deputy City Manager regarding the development agreement between the City of Dauphin and Highway 10 Developments for their commercial development of Lot 1 Plan 64175 DLTOs in southeast quarter of 4/29/25/19 west of the Prime Meridian. Further be it resolved that Council accepts as information the development agreement between these two parties, and further be it resolved that Council authorizes the Mayor and City Manager to sign, seal this development agreement on behalf of the city of Dauphin. This comes in law. There was a confidentiality agreement between the city of Dauphin and Highway 10 Development. Now that has been lifted, so because during negotiations all types of things can happen. So we complied with the developer's request and excited to see that they're moving forward on development. I've been assured that this spring, as soon as the snow melts and that, they'll start on the development of a hotel, Best Western, and they'll looking for, I guess, interested parties in building a restaurant in front. So this is a great news, and then now we can, through economic development, we can promote and the developers coming into town, and we can promote the saying that these lots are available for development. And it should spring other development in that area, and also hopefully we can make a stronger case for the south end, south service road from the Co-op to the to this other service road that was built last year. That part of the service road built will be paved early this year by Manitoba Infrastructure. So we're excited, and hopefully development will begets development and more development, so we can see our city grow, and just great news for the city of Dauphin. Any questions from councilors? Councilor Myers.
Yes, I'm quite excited about this, but I just wanted to comment that I was really impressed to see the drainage and the floodproofing, but more importantly, that there was a tree and vegetation as well as landscaping, including in the planning. We've been talking about every new development should have trees, and as you referred to before, we should be planting 100 trees, but I think we'll be happy with 50. That's our plan for this year. But it's really good to see after all this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Allers. We had the services of Lawyer King of Taylor McCaffrey, and he was very, very knowledgeable in development agreements, and everything has been covered in that very well. And I agree with you. That's very important. Any questions? I'll call the questions. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Bellemare, seconded by Councilor Duba. Be it resolved that Council accepts his information correspondence dated March 7, 2019 from the building inspector regarding a proposal to subdivide Lot 1 Plan 64175 DLTO quarter section, southeast quarter, section 42519 west of the Prime Meridian for owner Highway 10 Developments and applicant Vulcan and Kolchicki Surveys, care of Greg Molnar, Community Planning Services, file 4411-197497. Further be it resolved that council approves the subdivision application for the property described, that with the following condition, the applicant meets the condition as identified by Community Planning Services, and the applicant enters into a development agreement with the city of Dauphin outlining the terms and conditions of the development of the land and responsibility for design, construction, and municipal services. And is that the 3 lots? Or-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's in addition to the hotel is confirmed, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So any questions? I'll call the questions, all in favor? So, yeah, there's 3 lots that will be available for sale. So that completes the rest of the subdivision.
Oh, sorry. The 3 lots is the hotel.
Is it?
Is the hotel and restaurant, and the rest is to be subdivided yet.
Oh, okay. Okay, sorry.
There's 1 additional lot.
Yeah.
After, so there's 3 lots, 2 are taken, 1 for the hotel, 1 for the proposed restaurant.
So, but as such, all the subdivision conditions have been met, like,
Not yet, no. This is just approving the subdivision, and then the conditional approval will be issued to the applicant.
okay, thank you. And as promised to the Intermountain Conservation Group, I moved by Councillor Lockman, seconded by Councillor Riel, whereas the city of Dauphin is currently a member of the Intermountain Conservation District, and whereas the city of Dauphin Council has reviewed the proposal for the Intermountain Watershed District as prepared by the Manitoba government that supports a watershed-based approach to watershed management in Manitoba, be it resolved that council approves the proposal for the Intermountain Watershed District. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Okay. I see. District that supports the continuing membership in this program under the authority of the Water Districts Act. Questions? Call the questions, all in favor? Motion carried. Yeah, I heard a compliment that of the people can hear through on Access TV the people speaking, and of course I forget to turn my mic on, but it's good to hear that something you guys did or whatever.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Okay, I'll move on before I get into deeper. Moved by Deputy Mayor Bellemare, seconded by Councilor Sticilo, whereas the city of Dauphin owns 2 buildings designated as provincial heritage sites under the Heritage Resources Act, and whereas the province of Manitoba offers an annual designated heritage building grant through the Historical Resource Branch of Manitoba Sport, Culture, and Heritage. And be it resolved, the council accepts this information memorandum for from the Director of Public Works and Operations, outlining the details of an application for a designated heritage building grant for required masonry repair work on the city-owned Dr. Vernon L. Watson Allied Arts Center bell tower. Further, be it resolved that council authorizes the submission of the grant application under the designated heritage grant, building grant program. Any questions? I thought this was done already, but anyway.
Short money.
Oh,
We
okay.
did it last year, but
Okay, or should we-
it wasn't completed.
Okay, good. Call the question, all in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councilor Riel, seconded by Councilor Juba. Whereas according to the City of Dauphin travel policy, all out-of-province travel must receive prior approval by council. Be it resolved, the council accepts this information correspondence dated March 7, 2019 from the Director of Public Works and Operations, requesting authorization to attend the Canadian Network of Asset Managers 2019 conference in Kelowna, BC from May 6th to 9th, 2019. Further, be it resolved that council approves this other province travel request with all costs borne by the city of Dauphin. And we're moving on the asset management program at the city, so it's important to be abreast of all changes or new trends in the program. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Riel, second by Councillor Juba. Whereas the City of Dauphin recognizes the need to communicate with our rural municipality of Dauphin regarding joint municipal issues, and whereas the council hereby deems it necessary to establish the joint liaison committee with the RM of Dauphin, be it resolved that council appoints the mayor, deputy mayor, and city manager as member of the joint liaison committee for the city of Dauphin. We feel that it's important that we discuss joint municipal issues. In renegotiating sort of the rec agreement with Councillor Riz and Councillor Gibbs, Deputy Mayor Bellemare and myself, we found it very beneficial, and we developed a certain rapport in doing what's best for the area, and we'd like to formally establish it right now. The RM, I think their meeting is tomorrow, and I think they're going to pass a similar resolution, and we'll get going on issues as they come up. We propose to meet once a month. Location will be decided, and from there any recommendations will be brought back to the respective councils for approval. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Bellemare, seconded by Councillor Riel, be it resolved that council accepts this information correspondence dated February 26, 2019 from Jean-Louis Diaz, Director of Parkland Regional Library, outlining the library's 2019 budget estimates as approved by the Library Board of Trustees, and further be it resolved that council accepts this information correspondence dated February 26th, 2019 from Mr. Guillaume, requesting a 2019 appropriation of $17,971.13 quarterly. Further be it resolved that council forwards the financial request to the 2019 budget deliberations. I think that's an increase from last year, but there's been no increases for 3-4 years there. So, any questions? Call the questions. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Stakilo, seconded by Councillor Deputy Mayor Bellemare, be it resolved that council accepts this information. Correspondence dated February 26, 2019 from Jean-Louis Guillaume, Director of the Dauphin Public Library, outlining the library's 2019 budget estimates as approved by the Library Board of Trustees. Further be it resolved that council accepts this information. Correspondence dated February 26, 2019 from Mr. Guillaume requesting a 2019 appropriation of $12,101.25 quarterly. And further be it resolved that council forwards this financial request to the 2019 budget deliberations. And this number is the same one as last year. There was no increase. increase in the city portion. Any questions? Call the questions, all in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councilor Rial, seconded by Councilor Loughlin. Be it resolved that council accepts as information invitations to the following events. Invitations, Intermountain Conservation Annual Banquet, April 5th, 2019. And I think it's in Garland.
Yeah, it is.
So, that's good. So any councilor that want to go, who did it call? Lisa? Yeah. I don't know, was there a date there?
April 5th.
No, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
March 29th, deadline.
March 29th. So it's a Highway 10 project. So if nobody's been to Garland, you should go. Get it off your bucket list right now. All in favor? Motion carried. And next we councilor privileges. And where did we start last time? That way? Did we start with you?
No.
No, we're sure, Carrie. I'll fire it up.
No, go ahead. Councilor Locke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Pretty short report this time around. On Monday, February 25th, I attended the regular council meeting that evening, and then on March the 4th, I attended the planning and priorities meeting. On Friday, March 1st, as I kind of backtracked a little, I got a chance to go up to, the opening of the Co-op Community Family Trail, just obviously down the highway right before Riding Mountain National Park. Congratulations to everyone who's been a part of that. It's a great little area. Really looking forward to the snow melt and getting out there because I can't really ski. I don't want to hurt myself and go out there and do any of that stuff. So I'll wait till the snow melts and head out there with a bike. But again, congratulations to everyone that was a part of that, and really looking forward to using that area. And lastly, just yesterday, Sunday, March 10th, Dauphin Kings' first home playoff game in over 2 years. I just want to say thanks to roughly the 700 fans that attended the game. And we're looking forward to a big crowd this Friday night for Game 4 against the Swan Valley Stampeders at Credit Union Place. And that ends my report.
Thank you, Councilor Loughlin. Councilor Stikal.
Thank you, Mayor Dauphin. For myself, February 25th, regular council meeting, March 4th, planning and priorities meeting. Just want to mention a couple of upcoming events. One of the ones is tomorrow, actually, the Chamber Appreciation Luncheon over at the Rec Complex. It's always a great time to recognize all the Chamber members and the outstanding work that goes into that. And then the following day, March 13th, the Chamber Awards Night at the Country Fest Community Cinema. It's an evening event, so it should be a good time as well. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend on March 1st to the opening of the Co-op Community Family Trail. But I just want to congratulate everybody that was involved with that. And it's only going to grow from there and spur on additional activities in that area. So again, congratulations, and that ends my report.
Thank you, Councilor Stikal. Councilor Mothers.
Thank you. February 28th, we had a Communities in Bloom meeting, and we realized that we could only plant about 50 trees that would be adequately watered during the year, so we were looking to make sure that we have these to replace the trees that we have lost. On March 1st, I attended the Co-op Community Family Trail opening. I just wanted to reiterate that $150,000 was donated from Federated Co-op Community Places. There's also funding that's coming from our local Dauphin Co-op towards this derailing cycling club. And again, it's a real pleasure that the co-op supports our community and all the avenues that are available to them. On March 4th and 5th, I had the pleasure of attending the 2-day session on mental first aid for youth, as mentioned by the deputy city manager. And again, that was a very, very educational, as well as more of awareness of things that we should be doing when people are in crisis. So I recommend anybody who has an opportunity, please attend this. This is not only for anybody that you work with, but also your family members. Also on March 4th, I attended the planning priority meeting, and on March 10th, I attended the Dauphin Kings game. Unfortunately, I enjoyed it, but unfortunately the result wasn't wasn't great. But we wish them well, and that ends my report.
Thank you, Councillor Adam. And we'll ask our student rep for his report.
I attended student council meetings on February 20th and 27th and March 6th. This Thursday, I will be attending the Manitoba Association of School Boards Conference in Winnipeg. I attended a social media presentation hosted by RCMP ICE representative. I would just like to say thank you to the ICE member who came all the way here from Winnipeg. Next Thursday, I will be performing at the Third Thursday Music with the DRCSS Choir and the Purple Women's Choir. I encourage you to attend. I attended musical practices on February 12th, 17th, 19th, 24th, March 3rd, 5th, and 10th, and we'll be having musical practices every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday until April 24th, 25th, 26th, and 27th are the performance dates. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Ashton. The third Thursday, is it this Thursday? No, next Thursday. Next Thursday. There's going to be a lot of activity at the library because the student choir is, how many in there? 50 in there with the, and the Parkland Women's Choir, so there's going to be great. And they have 40, so there's just 90. Now, I don't know if there will be room for the audience, but it's great stuff, and it's great that we have these cultural events in our community. Councillor Juba.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My report is rather short this week. On February the 25th, I attended the council meeting. I, along with the, as aforementioned, I attended the grand opening of the Coop Community Trail, and all the virtues have already been spoken, except I noticed I had received an email right at the gate there, so if there isn't any self-service throughout the whole trail, at least at the gate there is. So on April the 4th, at 4:30 before the planning and priority meeting, I attended the audit and finance meeting, and they were both here at City Hall. Some community events. February the 27th, I was invited to a meeting with the Parkland Men's Shed group to give a presentation on Habitat for Humanity. Actually, it was an information sharing afternoon where both groups we discussed partnerships going forward, and some announcements will come rolling down soon. On March the 3rd, I attended the annual Knights of Columbus Appreciation Supper at the Knights on the 11th Hall. I got a chance to get together with fellow Knights and extended groups that help the Knights throughout the year for different projects, and it was just a nice evening of getting to see all the people that volunteer for the Knights throughout the year. On March the 6th, I attended the monthly board meeting of Habitat for Humanity, and March the 10th, I attended and volunteered for our Dauphin Kings as they hosted Swan Valley Stampeders, and there's still hope until the last second of the last game. So go Kings go. They play Wednesday in Swan River, but they're back here Friday night, so come out and fill the cup and cheer on our Kings to victory. And I just want to end my report this week with a special announcement. I want to congratulate Anna Orisco, who was nominated to represent Habitat Canada at a Government of Canada Youth Summit, which will be held in Ottawa this May. Further details will be announced quite shortly. Anna's going to meet with the press in a day or so. So she's off to Ottawa to represent us and at a youth summit with government officials, and that's really exciting. So that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Juba. Deputy Mayor Bellmer.
I attended the regular council meeting on the 25th and the planning and priorities meeting on March 4th. And Watson Arts Center meeting, I'm on that committee, and we've had a couple of postponements, one due to that cold weather we had in February and some other factors, so I'll report on that when we get meeting. Community event, I also attended the opening of the Co-op Trail, and just wanted to mention that it's very accessible. It's a multi-use kind of trail, so certainly when the weather warms up and people are out there on their non-fat bikes, it will be busy, but right now it's a great time if you want to walk or to snowshoe. There was even cross-country ski trails on part of that trail, and what's interesting about that is usually cross-country skiing you like it to be longer and straighter, and biking they like it curvy, but they managed to track that for cross-country skiing and part of it. So it's very nice, and now that the weather is nice, I really encourage people to go and check it out. They're anticipating to have 20 kilometers of trail done by the end of August, so it's just getting better and better. It's been mentioned already about the Chamber of Commerce Awards that are coming up on Wednesday night at the Country Fest Cinema, so if you're interested in going, make sure you come and celebrate another great aspect of our community. And thank you, Ashton, for mentioning about what's happening on the 21st, because Shadaz that I'm part of, I can never go to those because we're practicing. And we are dancing in Winnipeg for the very first time this weekend coming up, so I have next Thursday available. So I'm going to come and listen to all of those fine groups. And Manitoba Mud Run, for those people who are trying to register, the website is being redone, and it will be available by April 1st, so just stay tuned and you'll get your opportunity. This year they will have a 5 and a 10K route, which is something different from other years. And just one other thing too, in our Economic Development Manager's report, she mentioned about the Storefront improvement program that they're offering. And basically for downtown businesses, if you have a plan and you're interested in accessing some of the funds from that pot, check with Carissa and put in an application, and the city pays some and you pay some, and we just end up with a downtown that just looks refreshed and very just ends up being an even better place to shop. So check that out. The deadline for that is the end of March, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Bellmer. Councillor Riel.
Thank you, Mayor Dohan. On February 25th, I attended the last council meeting. March 4th, I attended the Planning and Priorities Committee at City Hall. March 10th, I too attended the Kings game, and although I cheered loudly, it did not impact the final score. Unfortunately, March 11th, today I attended the Dart Committee meeting at the Friendship Center. I would also like to congratulate the Unity Group for obtaining a permanent space at the Parkland Crossing. They've painted it. The place looks very nice. If you get an opportunity, you can attend there and check out some of the things the women are doing there. Also, congratulations to the honor band, students, staff, and volunteers for very successful band performances this past while. I'd also like to thank Shelby and whoever was instrumental in getting the photos for council and city staff onto the website. I've had a lot of positive feedback about putting faces to a name, so thank you for whomever was responsible for that. And just a condolence to Angie Smith and her family on the recent passing of her mother. Condolences and prayers go out to them in this difficult time. And that here ends my report.
Thank you, Councillor Yap. My report, February 27th, went to Rec Board monthly meeting, and the manager's report was circulated here. March 1st is attended the grand opening of the Federated Co-op $150,000 donation for the family mountain bike trail by the water treatment plant. And we're very fortunate to have community-minded businesses in our community, thanks to Right Side Equipment for spreading the limestone, and Sturkowski Contracting for supplying the crushed lime. The trail is 6 foot wide and 6 inches deep. And apparently they had to bobcat it all in, and it was quite a process, but they did it very well. Thank you to them. March 4th, we had a P&P meeting. Also, March 6th, I'm on the library hiring committee for the director position. John Louis Diaz is retiring. So the committee consists of Councillor Mancher from Gilbert Plains and Councillor Geisel from Lake Shore and myself. We've outlined the ads are out tomorrow. It'll be in the Dauphin Herald and the Shopper, and also we'll be posting on there's a Library Association website for people. We're interested in sort of continuing the direction that the current director is going, and we've done many great things with the library in his time here. And the closing deadline for applications is April 18th. So, and then we'll review, and I think we're planning on having interviews in early May, and then hopefully we'll get somebody in place before John Louis Diaz retires. But he's available for special consultation in just in case. So get the word out, and hopefully we can move the library forward in the direction we foresee. Just with the development agreement, that's really exciting for our community. We're with the Vermilion Growers development agreement signed. They'll be starting very early in the spring, and also development agreement with Highway 10 developers. They're they have committed to the Best Western Hotel starting in early spring, so there'll be a lot of activity in our community, and a lot of people seeing that Dauphin is a great place to invest. Next week we'll be in Winnipeg, and I'm trying to get a meeting with the Minister of Finance with regarding the TIP program, and maybe there'll be some additional incentives that we can offer to the developers there. So that's, we've had an exciting couple of weeks, and we'll see you in 2 weeks at March 25th, and we'll have more details. Thank you very much. Moved by Councillor Juba, seconded by Councillor Riel, be it resolved that the council meeting be recessed.
We'll be assessing it already.